Another year, another trip across the pond. And that's exactly where our New York Jets are headed to face the Denver Broncos. Last year, when they faced the Denver Broncos, we spoke with somebody specific to go behind enemy lines and talk about that matchup. And guess what? That same person is back. Woo! So that's my little teaser before we talk a little bit more about him and then talk with him. So here we go. We're going behind enemy lines. And one more time for you, across the pond, okay, for some Jets Broncos preview. It's Boy Green meets Wudi.
Can you guys help us get a Jet chant here? Yeah, going.
Oh.
Okay, yeah. Come on in.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go!
J-E-T-S, Jets! Let's go! J-E-T-S, Jets! Let's go! There you go,
Third Party Thursday.
Chris joining us here on the program with a capital P here on the program.
Jake Asman, come on down. How you doing, good sir?
Wow, what an intro. I mean, Boy Green is known for having the intro, but Wudi, that was unreal, man. Thanks for the kind words, son.
We are men of many names.
My favorite Austrian Jets fan right there,
Yeah.
baby.
Boy Green
Meets Wudi. Welcome to another episode of Boy Green Meets Wudi. It is your boy James Wudi, and you already know we are Wudi, rocking everywhere. Right here is that boy who became king. Yes, a man behind the Boy Green Coffee Club himself, Mr. Paul Esden Jr. Okay, and like we said in the open, we got somebody. This is a return. Okay, a return. He is the host of Broncos and Bourbon. I don't know how I feel about that first word, but the bourbon, I'll let your boy. Come on now. We got to clink a glass with the one, the only Phil Milani. Come on down. How you doing? Our good sir.
I love the intro. Thank you very much, guys. A pleasure to be on the show again.
Yeah, let me pull out the hole punch because he's back. So make sure you get your coupon coach.
Yes.
Hand that back on over there. And not only is it a hole punch card for being back on Boy Green Meets Wudi, but it is a hole punch card, Wudi, because the Jets and Broncos continue to play every year. It's a weird scheduling quirk that continues to happen here between the New York Jets and the Denver Broncos. So once again, I believe it's 2020. 2021, 2022, 23, 24, 25. This is going to be year number 6 in a row that the New York Jets and Denver Broncos played. So let me hole punch that one as well here with Phil. So it's been a weird one, but I will tell you a pleasant surprise because, Phil, that means we've gotten to do a lot of conversations over the last 6 years, which has been fun.
Always a pleasure to be on with you guys. I mean, it's so much fun always talking Broncos and Jets. And, these two teams, like you mentioned, faced each other so often now. But the personnel, the personalities, the coaching staffs, everything, it's always a different matchup every time these two teams get together.
Now, last year was pretty ugly. It was 10-9. You guys won. And, I was going to start off the show by forcing you to make a promise that it would be more points than that. But I've seen the Jets defense, so I can guarantee there's going to be more points than that, certainly in this contest. Let's start off here with the journey of Bo Nix, who, a lot of people gave Denver some crap last year for taking Nix because he was the 6th quarterback in that top 12. And it just felt like that was just the one that randomly fell to Denver. But he shut everyone up in that second half of the season and did some scintillating things. It looked like at least early on here, Phil, that there were some turbulent waters for Bo Nix. Has he been able to overcome those, and how has he looked heading into this one?
Yeah, it's been interesting. The Broncos had this long playoff drought, did not make the playoffs for a decade. Insert Bo Nix, the combination of him and Sean Payton last year, it worked. It wasn't always pretty, but the Broncos somehow found a way to get into the playoffs.
Nope. Okay, it looks like we've lost Phil there. So that one went wide right. Excuse me. Sorry for the technical difficulties here, folks. As this is coming in, I guess this is a good detour to say, "Hey, Ryan McCarthy, thanks for the 10-pack of Boy Green Coffee Club memberships, baby." Yeah, I'll take that. I think we're going to be hearing those chimes a lot over the next couple of months, Woody. Unfortunately, at 0-5, so that could be happening here. But by the way, just a quick one of these shouts out. Real quick, as we're getting our guy Phil back in here. Here are the 10 new members to the Boy Green Coffee Club. Shout out to Ryan McCarthy. Thank you so much. Papa Jet 73, Latanya T, Drug Monkey. What the hell? Mion Ring, Kevin M, Randy 23, Uno Jets, Jason Lang, Brian Farrell, and Skinny D23. Thank you so much for the Boy Green Coffee Club memberships here on the program, which we appreciate. So, Ryan, appreciate you. He says, good afternoon to the New York Jets only, and especially the afternoon Coffee Club. Again, we're still working on the Wudi name because he's going to get monetization soon, and we got to figure out what that name's going to look like. But appreciate it, Ryan. You got 10 raffle tickets for our contest. Thank you very much. All right, let's bring Phil back in here. Phil, sorry about that.
My fault, guys.
Your batch here. So no.
Oh my gosh, I'm struggling here today. So sorry. Yes. So last year the Broncos get into the playoffs. The city of Denver falls in love with this guy. He's like been anointed the franchise quarterback. Like Bo Nix is the guy. He's at Nuggets games. He's at Avs games. I mean, he could do no wrong. The start of this season has been a little bit up and down, but I think that one thing you see with the Broncos is that they've adopted his personality. I mean, if you talked about the personality of the entire team as the Broncos, they sort of mimic how Bo goes, and Bo is like this edgy, competitive, fiery kind of guy, and I think the Broncos are a little bit like that too. So started off the season, so many expectations for him to take this leap this year, to avoid the sophomore slump, that dreaded slump for quarterbacks, and that first game against the Titans, it did not look pretty. Like he was not able to do a lot of the things he wanted to do. I think he had 2 picks in that game and a fumble. So I think that he was just feeling a little bit of the pressure there. Ever since that point, he's played pretty well. Like overall, like pretty well. And then last week against the Eagles, the Broncos are down a couple of touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden he catches fire. So I think the big thing for him and for a lot of like really young quarterbacks, it's like finding that consistency. So when he's good, he can be really good, but when he's bad, he can also be really bad. But I think for him, if he's able to sort of find that consistency and bring it all 4 quarters every week, then he's going to be able to get in a groove here. So he's very capable, but I think that he still shows signs of being a quarterback just in his second year.
Well, I like that. Wish I knew what that felt like on this side, but we don't.
Hey, I think Justin Fields has not been bad. You know what I mean? Like he has not been bad, and he's been able to put up a lot of yards using both his arm and his legs. Mm-hmm. I think that his legs, that's going to be a big factor this week because the Broncos pass rush. They lead the league in sacks. Nick Bonito's flying around out there. I think that his legs could be a legitimate weapon this week. So, if the Broncos get caught blitzing when they shouldn't be, and he's able to take off, he's showing that he can make defenses really pay. So I don't think he's been terrible. I just think for whatever reason, the Jets haven't been able to get across that finish line and get a win.
Woody, put some respect on his name. Justin Fields hasn't thrown a pick yet this season. Come on, baby.
Yeah, see? Well, he just has just the 1 fumble, right? So
2. He got 2. He got
2 fumbles. Okay, 2 fumbles.
Yeah. One of them for like negative 20 yards, but we're not going to talk about that. But one thing, so in that same vein, defending Fields, a whole argument that I've heard many times is, well, we don't have a wide receiver 2 opposite him. Look at the guy opposite. But Phil, with you, I feel like I'm talking to somebody who knows a ton about a franchise that has scored 20 points in every game this season. And I wouldn't say no disrespect to the roster, but I wouldn't say wide receiver 2 over there is a household name. I wouldn't even say Cortland. I would, if you poll the average Jet fan. Who's the better receiver, Cortland Sutton or Garrett Wilson? I think we know what they would say. So I'm talking about a roster that no household name at wide receiver 2. Cortland Sutton is Cortland Sutton. Yet we have a successful offense that scored 20 points in every game this season. Can you talk to us about that? What Sean Payton has done, how we've gotten here, and of course we just talked about Bo Nix, but more about that supporting cast for all those Justin Fields defenders out there. That teams can actually succeed even without an all-star cast at the wide receiver room.
Most definitely. I mean, you guys still have Garrett Wilson, you know what I mean? So, like, I think that sometimes that wide receiver 2 spot can get a little bit overblown, needing 2 legit guys. I think that one thing that the Broncos have shown is that if you're able to scheme things right and you're able to run the football, it opens up a lot. I mean, I still think that when it's 3rd and 14, like the Broncos needed to play last week against the Eagles, Bo is looking Cortland Sutton's way. I mean, that is his go-to guy in times of need. But I think that the Broncos have shown that if you just have some pieces that are serviceable around him, then you're able to still move the football a lot. And I think the Broncos have done a nice job. They've got one of the best offensive lines in football. They've done a nice job in front of Bo there. So they give him some time to be able to, hey, if Cortland's not open, he's able to survey the field a little bit. But more than that, the last couple of weeks, the Broncos have really been running the football. J.K. Dobbins is top 5 in the league right now in terms of running yards. I think that they're able to keep teams a little bit off balance. And one of the things that Sean has done is that he's using the other guys besides Sutton in different ways. Like, he'll line up Marvin Mims in the backfield, and he'll give him the ball and say, hey, use that speed, get out and try and just do something other than just play normal wide receiver. They use Troy Franklin in a couple of different ways, but he's really developed into this big play threat where, Bo will look to take a couple of deep shots to Troy Franklin. So, I think that Sean Payton has done a nice job keeping opposing defenses a little bit off balance so that, hey, some of these other guys are running wide open, even though they're not a household name, or you might not know anybody beside Cortland Sutton. Probably know Evan Ingram a little bit, but he has been slow to get into the mix here with the Broncos. Had a touchdown last week, but he's really not been that guy that the Broncos were expecting so far. But Sean has done a nice enough job keeping other teams off balance to get the ball out there and get this offense going here, at least the last couple of weeks.
Phil, you mentioned J.K. Dobbins. My fantasy football team appreciates your service this season. Thank you, J.K. Dobbins. But I'm curious how surprising is it in Broncos land, because they spent a very high draft choice on R.J. Harvey. J.K. Dobbins, I had to double check because I felt like it was very late in the offseason. If this is right, June 11th is when he joined the Denver Broncos. So very late in the process. And he's been not only the leading man for the Broncos in this movie they're starring this season, but also in terms of the production in the National Football League, where he's in that top 5 category in rushing yards. How surprising has his production been for the Broncos, considering it's not like they signed him as one of the first free agent additions in March? It came in the middle of the summer.
Yeah, I think that most fans thought that this was going to be more of a two-headed monster with those two guys. But I think that one thing that Sean likes to do is that he does these wholesale personnel. It's almost like a line change in hockey where, hey, even in the course of a single drive, he'll bring a whole new arsenal in and out. And so it has worked out that Dobbins has been the guy who's found these little bursts and rattled off these 20-yard runs. And then the last couple of weeks, Peyton has been going with the same back for the whole drive. I think that Dobbins went to him and said, hey, look, I need to get into more of a rhythm here. I need to be out there and I need to just feel like I'm in the game a little bit to find some success. And it's worked out. The last couple of weeks, he's been running the ball really well. He had 100 yards against the Bengals a couple of weeks ago. Not the hardest thing to do, but he is the first 100-yard rusher for Sean Payton in Denver. So
Wow.
That's been a long time coming there. And I think that the thing with Dobbins is that his injury past maybe kept teams from, they kept them staying away from him. But I think the Broncos were like, look, we know that when he's healthy, he can really rack up some yards. He's a tough guy to bring down. Let's bring him in. We really don't have anything to lose, especially that late in free agency. And, he's been the guy who's caught fire so far through the first 5 games. So they're going to keep riding with him. And, look, I think that at his age, later in the season, I don't know how much you're going to be able to just count on him. But for right now, he's healthy and he's rolling. And I think the hardest thing for the Broncos is staying consistent with the run, because at times Sean Payton likes to show that he is an offensive genius, right? He loves the deep plays. He loves having these no-name wide receivers, at least, around the rest of the league. He likes crafting them and scheming them up so they're running wide open for huge plays, because it is a reflection on him in that sense. He loves that. And so I think it's hard for him to stay committed to the run. But if he can, and he can put his ego to the side for just a little bit, the Broncos have shown that they've had a lot of success on the offensive side when they continue to run the football. They keep the down and distance manageable. That's really the key for this Broncos offense. And they really get into trouble when they go away from the run. So even last week against the Eagles, they were down a couple of touchdowns, but they stayed committed to the run, and it turned out to pay off for them.
Well, shout out to Dobbins. I know I've been watching Javonte Williams run around, and I'm sure Dobbins, is helping you not lose sleep at night about Javonte.
Hey, man, shout out to Javonte. I spent a lot of time with Javonte. I went to his hometown, Wallace, North Carolina, really small town. I went to his high school with him. We did this whole big feature with him. I met his whole family. I went to his grandma's house. I got to know Javonte really well. And, sometimes we've seen it with these quarterbacks around the league. A change of scenery, man, and all of a sudden a whole new world can get opened up. So I love that Javonte's killing it with the Cowboys. He's been a red zone monster. He was always a tough guy to bring down, and it's just like, for whatever reason, wasn't working here in Denver after he tore his ACL a few years back. And so now to see him have that success in Dallas is awesome.
And speaking of that, isn't that beautiful? You're talking about, new locations sometimes can be a fresh start for someone. Let's shout out John Franklin Myers. Wow, new life there in Denver. Yeah. We gave him away for a half-eaten bag of Doritos, and couldn't just try to find a team to take him. And it sounds like JFM, as you mentioned earlier, right, that the Broncos lead the league in sacks. And for people who don't know, not only do they lead the league in sacks, they have a 5-sack lead over the next closest team. That shows how dominant they've been. And then when you look at the numbers even deeper, here for the Broncos, they have 5 guys that have at least 2 sacks apiece. So it's a collective, but also Nick Bonito, who you mentioned earlier, is going bonkers, already having 7 sacks already on the season. So I mean, man, this Orange Crush defense, or I don't know if they're still going by the Chucky name from last year, the no-name Broncos defense. I don't know what they're calling this group. I could just call them elite. That seems to be fitting.
Yeah, they've done a nice job really building the back end with that secondary. They brought in Hufanga this offseason from the 49ers. He's been a nice piece in the safety position there. Obviously, PS2, the defensive player of the year, Riley Moss, that cornerback 2. They've got some really nice pieces there in the secondary that's giving those front guys some time to really get after the quarterback. So they really are playing off of each other. The secondary has done a nice job, and the front 7 guys are really getting after the quarterback. Vance Joseph likes to dial up pressure, man. He likes to bring guys from all different places. He plays without a lot of fear, and he lets those guys in the secondary really play on an island sometimes. And it's allowed the Broncos to really get after opposing quarterbacks. And, that's no slight on those guys up front. They're very talented as well, but they're really, it's being able to play off of each other that's allowed them to have so much success. And yeah, Nick Bonito is a guy who's really come on, after his first couple of years out of Oklahoma. He was a second-round draft pick. Really weren't sure what to expect from this guy, but he's been able to really turn it on. Last year was his breakout season. He found the end zone. He's a guy who is making game-changing plays, not just sacks. And so this year he's really picked up where he left off. And just this week, PS2 was saying, hey, if I'm going to not be defensive player of the year again, maybe Benito could take it. I'll pass the torch to him. So, that's getting ahead of yourself a little bit here. But, yes, the Broncos have made it a priority to make opposing quarterbacks feel very uncomfortable. I would say, really, if you look at this whole Broncos defense, the only area of weakness is that inside linebacker. And opposing teams have really tried to schematically attack those two guys there, particularly Alex Singleton in coverage. Running backs coming out of the backfield have had a lot of success catching the football down the field. So the wheel route has had a lot of success against Alex Singleton and this Broncos defense. Saquon Barkley scored a huge touchdown last week for the Eagles. So that's an area where the Broncos are going to see offenses really continue to attack and force them to switch things up. But right now they're getting after opposing teams, and I expect Fields will have to use his legs a bunch in this game.
We'll see if the Jets pick up on that. They've been known to be about 2 to 3 years behind of the rest of the league on picking up on stuff. So we'll see what happens. If we see any wheel routes. But I will stick with your guy, PS2, the defensive player of the year. He's in the heading. It's disrespect that another name was thrown into that heading of the video.
Wait. Let's do a quick temperature check, because Phil could have changed his stand from last year. So Phil, PS2 or Sauce Gardner?
It's not even a question right now, right? Is it still a question?
Sauce, right?
I don't think so, man.
Oh,
I think
okay.
that
Right.
It was never Sauce,
man.
Slight edge. Okay, I respect.
I'll tell you, the second I saw PS2, he is such a big body, man. He is so much bigger in person than he looks, on TV. And the way he moves on the grass, it really looks so smooth, to the point where he looks different than other guys. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen players that, like, on the field, you're like, this guy's just moving in a way that's different than other players. Like, to get to the NFL, you have to be an insane athlete, right? And then amongst those guys, he even looks a little bit different. Von Miller really is the only other Broncos player I've been around who just looks a little bit different than other guys. PS2 clearly looks a little bit different. Last year against the Raiders, PS2 had a pick six where he caught the ball in the end zone, took it the whole distance of the field. It did not look like he was running that fast. But then those next gen stats or whatever clocked him, and they were like, that's the fastest anybody's been running this on a field this year. Like, he was going insane. And it didn't look like it. It looked like he was just like sort of like floating on the grass. And so he's just like a different level of athlete, man. And, opposing quarterbacks have really stayed away from him. They don't like to test him too much, except I will say last week, A.J. Brown had a couple of catches on him with the Eagles. And then a couple of weeks before that, the Colts really went after him. Did not shy away from, Daniels was really firing at PS2, had some success there. So that's been a little bit different this year, but it still looks like he's still the same PS2. I mean, he's not going to give up anything huge. And he's just sort of like that lockdown guy that allows Vance Joseph to really do what he likes to do with his different blitz packages and stuff.
To have like a 30-yard touchdown. just over his head like that, take the top off the defense.
It's really hard on Riley Moss, the other cornerback, because he ends up getting so much work every single week.
Right.
But he's a talented guy himself, man. Like he would be pushing a lot of other cornerbacks on other teams in the league. But just because he's playing opposite PS2, he's getting a lot of work.
Which makes
so, as a Garrett Wilson fantasy owner,
I would sit him this week, man. Sit him this week.
No. Really?
I mean, he might still put up a few points, but it's not going to be a normal week for Garrett Wilson. I'll tell you that. It's not going to be a normal week.
Okay. All right. I like it. Now, they've been, I assume PS2 has continued to do this. He's done this in his past. They've been using Garrett a lot more in the slot this year. Is that something that doesn't phase PS2 at all? That would be, they would move him slot, boundary, it wouldn't matter?
I think they'll move him around, yeah. But they do have Jaquan McMillan, who is an outstanding slot cornerback. He, maybe one of the better ones in the league. They also drafted Jahdae Barron out of Texas in the first round, used him a little bit in that slot position. So they do have some other guys who their specialty is playing inside. So I don't know. That's going to be interesting to see that matchup because, anytime PS2's out there, the task for the opposing offense is, okay, how do we get our guy open? Like, we still got to try and get the ball to our number one wideout. So how do we move him around? What do we do to sort of manufacture some opportunities here? And a lot of that, it comes pre-snap. Like, how can we move this guy into some different spots? But PS2 has moved around a bit this year.
All right, what's the Bronco? I know the Jets because, of course, us being a Jet show. How often has Denver played in London or any of these international series for that matter? Because now the NFL is going all over the place. I guess I'll just start there. How often has Denver traveled internationally recently?
Not much. Just a few years ago when Nathaniel Hackett was the head coach, Russell Wilson, they went over there. They played the Jags, got the win. But before that game, they had not been to London in a very long time. I think late 2000s. I think it was 2010 the last time that the Broncos had been there prior to that Nathaniel Hackett trip. So part of the problem was that Peyton Manning was a quarterback in Denver. No team wanted to give up their home game in that situation. And it was before teams are really being pushed to try and, for marketing reasons or whatever, business opportunities, trying to get overseas, trying to, get a foothold with some of the fans, in London and wherever else the NFL has been playing games, Brazil, in Germany. It's cool to see the expansion of the game, obviously, and teams want this opportunity to be able to, create some Broncos fans, create some Jets fans all over the world, but the problem was that Peyton Manning being here, no team wanted to give that up. So the Broncos just never went to London. And so that just did not happen. And of course, the time the Broncos went in the late 2000s, there was an incident with that was Josh McDaniels was the head coach with the Broncos. They were spying on the 49ers practice there, got into a lot of trouble. So that may have also played into why the Broncos not asked to go back to London immediately after that. So
that makes sense. I'm curious because the Jets decided to do this. This is AG's first year, of course. They went to London immediately. So they played their game on Sunday. Me and Wudi were at that Jets-Cowboys game. And the next day, they immediately went to travel to London so they could have as normal of a week as possible. Did Denver do the same thing? Did they do early London travel, or are they doing it later in the week?
Because they played in Philadelphia on Sunday. So right after the game, they actually just took off and went back to to London. That way, they didn't have to fly 5 hours back to Denver and then all the way to London. So. And, the thing about NFL coaches, guys, being around teams and stuff, they love routine. Like nothing matters more than, hey, I woke up today, it's Thursday, this is what we do on Thursdays. That's just like how NFL teams operate. It allows them to operate at a very high clip where on Thursdays, we do this. On Fridays, we do this. Saturdays, we do this. Boom, it's game day, we do this. And they try to keep everything as normal as possible. The Broncos are staying way out of town. They're practicing where Tottenham, where they practice. So they're trying to keep things as normal as possible. I will say the one thing that's nice about these trips is that it affords a team to spend some time together. It allows the guys to get really close together. And in my experience, guys, that doesn't seem like that big of a deal, but it really is a big deal that the teams that I've been around that are closer, that they really care about each other, that they play for each other, it shows up on the field, man. Like teams that are really tight knit and they spend a lot of time together. They have position dinners and all this, and their families get to know each other and all this kind of stuff. That shows up in games. I don't know how to really describe it, but it really does make a difference. Like the Super Bowl 50 team with the Broncos. That was a tight-knit team, man. They spent a lot of time together. They played a lot of jokes on each other. That locker room was a place where guys, after practice, just wanted to hang out with each other, and it showed up. And so these trips to London, it sort of feels like you're just hanging out at the hotel. You're spending time with each other. You're hanging out in the dining hall. You don't have anywhere else to go. And I think that can help a team later on in the year. Not just the Broncos, I think for the Jets too, a team that's having some struggles, hasn't seen the wins pop up. I think that at this point in the season where you're sitting here at 0-5, you could really go two different ways. You could start to have some fighting in the locker room, guys pointing fingers. The team can really get severed. But if you've got a guy like AG coaching this squad, I know that this team's going to stay together, and spending a week together in London could be big for this Jets team. It was big for the Broncos a few years ago. They did not get off to a hot start. Russell Wilson was a quarterback. The big news that week was that he was like doing high knees on the airplane flying out to London, being Russell Wilson. That was the big news that week. But the guys sort of turned things around after that week, and they credited spending the whole week together over there. So I do think that this is a good opportunity for these teams to really, have this moment together. And I think that it could help both teams moving forward.
Well, they might need for the Jets. I'm talking about they might need like Denzel Washington or something in that locker room.
Y'all are down on this team, man.
Let me make this clear. Wudi is this dark cloud of nothingness. You got to believe. I said that same thing, Phil, earlier this week. That I said I know people are going to make fun of me for saying this, but this London trip can be this college sort of training camp experience where you're all together. Because like when you're here in New Jersey, everyone's going back to their multi-million-dollar homes. They got all kinds of things and business opportunities and everything going on. When you're on this London trip, the hotel is your building. You're having conferences. You're sleeping in the same hotel as your coaches. Like you guys are together. You're doing your activities together at night. Like, man, this could be. I know they're 0-5, but it could be this experience where it's us against the world. We stink by the record, and let's show everybody. Everyone thinks they're just gonna overlook this thing. Like this is our thing. And I've been telling people this week. But not a lot of people have been jumping on the bandwagon. But I've bbeen sort of saying, hey, maybe there could be something here to rally around, perhaps.
It sounds stupid, but it's real, man. I think that it's real. I think that just, the lifestyle in the NFL, even with some of these college guys now, there's so much money, hey, I'm going to get back to what I got going on in my house. I don't need to hang out with you guys. I'm a professional. No, this week you're all the same. It doesn't matter if you're making millions, you're making a few $100K. It doesn't matter. You're all in the same situation. So I do think that it matters. And I think that it could be an opportunity for both of these teams to really come together.
Remember the Titans? I've seen the movie, so I do know what you guys are talking about. I do know.
Tell me this. What happened in those Jets games where they almost beat the Steelers? Look, the Steelers have gotten off to a pretty good start. In a bad division there in the AFC North, they could run away with that thing. The Bucs are going to be a Super Bowl contender here moving forward. Y'all almost beat them. There is something there with the Jets that I think this Broncos team should be paying attention to those games and not just the 0-5. Hey, no, there's something there that if you don't come up and show up on Sunday, there could be trouble.
So Phil, tell me that how are the Broncos looking at it? Because the Jets are the only winless team in football. So let's play in the Wudi dark sandbox where no one else is, and he's playing by himself over there in the corner for God's sake. So let's play in a sandbox for a second, give him a little bit of space. Is that the Jets are 0-5? They're the only winless team in football. Times are really bad. They've been blown out twice this season. The Cowboys game and this Bills game. They're sort of in their feels like every time they faced adversity, they've folded like a cheap suit. When that thing happens, it's this phrase that gets uttered all throughout Jets land, same old Jets, and like, oh, here we go again. Things are going south, and then like there may be a lack of effort and things of that nature, where they just sort of like accept the fate that something's going to go horrifically wrong here. So the Broncos, I mean, first world problems, baby. They're they have a share of first place in the AFC West. They just defeated the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. They're now going on this international trip against this team that stinks. Like, how are the Broncos viewing the Jets from any perspective of analyst, fan, team, anything that you can share as they look at this game?
Well, I'll say this about the Broncos perspective here right now. The knock on this Broncos team was they can't beat a good team. That was sort of the knock on them. Like last year, the Broncos made the playoffs, but the only team they beat last year that finished with a winning record were the Tampa Bay Bucks. And that was way back in week 3 of last season. So anytime they faced a good team last year, they lost. And so far, up until last week, the Broncos had lost against other good teams. Like their wins were against the Titans and the Bengals. So they lost to the Colts. They lost to the Chargers. So the knock on this team was, hey, you guys can beat up on bad teams, but you're not really competitive again, like in the sense that like you're going to be an AFC favorite here until you beat a good team. And so that was sort of the storyline swirling around the team last week going to Philadelphia. They were on the road in a hostile environment there in Philly, defending Super Bowl champs, underdogs, Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, all this stuff with the Eagles. And they were able to eke out a win there. Like that wasn't a very convincing win, I would say, but they turned things around in the fourth quarter and beat that Eagles team. And I think what that gave this Broncos team, and certainly the storyline around the team now is, hey, we can play with anybody. That's sort of like the mentality. And so there's sort of this thought here in Denver and around this Broncos team now that, okay, that was a test to show, are you for real or not? And they sort of passed that test, beating the Eagles, even though it wasn't like a clear victory. There were some questionable calls late in that game that could have easily turned things in a different direction there. Broncos got that victory, though. And so a win is a win, and you take that and you put it in your pocket and leave. And I think that now this Broncos team is saying, look, we could be really good. We still got to take care of business every week, though. So I'm interested to see how they view this game, because they could easily be like, hey, we just beat the defending Super Bowl champs. We're about to take off into outer space here. And if you do that against this Jets team, like I was saying, that could mean trouble, So it's going to be an interesting test to see, okay, yeah, they beat the defending Super Bowl champs, but were they able to still get grounded, still look at the tape, look at some of those mistakes that they made last week and say, no, we got to be better than this. And of course, in the media, they're saying all the right things like, hey, we feel like we're just starting to scratch the surface of what we can be. We still got a long way to go. We'll find out if that's true this week, if they're taking this Jets team seriously. I do think that's another thing that could be a benefit to this Broncos team, is that they didn't come back to Denver and hear all those accolades all week long. They didn't get all of the praise that, like, you turn on the radio here, you watch TV here, it's like Broncos are for real. Broncos are Super Bowl contenders. They're among the elite in the AFC. They didn't hear any of that. They are in London, away from all of that. So that could be a benefit here. And we'll see if they show up here this week, because I think that the true mark of a good team is that each and every week they bring it and they don't take any weeks off. They don't look past any teams. And we'll have to see how they are able to show up here on Sunday.
We had a fan comment.
Oh, yeah. Let's get to it, baby.
Let's go.
Yeah, here we go. I appreciate when super chats come here on the program. The customer's always right, baby.
Wow.
Oh, well, this actually wasn't the one that I was talking about.
Oh.
But
Oh, well,
yeah,
all right. Let's give a shout out here to Flight Boys 2.0
yes.
Slim
There we
God.
go.
Sending in a $5 super chat. He said, Woody's a glazer. Sauce has been a significantly better coverage corner against PS2, and all the metrics agree. Look him up. PS2 has slightly the edge on the impact.
I'll say this, like, you just don't see cornerbacks win Defensive Player of the Year awards. Like,
Right.
It just doesn't happen. And the season that he had last year was spectacular, PS2. And he's getting the opposing team their best shot every single week. So is Sauce. I mean, don't get me wrong, but PS2 brought it to the point where he won that award and it received the accolades all around the league. Like I mentioned, this year he's showing that he's human. So like he's given up a little bit of stuff here, but the throws and the plays that have been made against him have been like spectacular. Like the ball placement has been like just out of his reach and it's a catch, like it's been like really, he's not giving up anything easy out there. Like this is like just like barely getting the completion and getting some yards against him. So I haven't looked at the direct head-to-head metrics out there, but I will say this: PS2, I think, just considered around the league, is that elite premier guy that everybody like. I think there was some debate there for a while, like who's the best guy. But once you have that award in your back pocket, unless something crazy happens, he's going to have that title for a year or two, I think.
All right, Woody, you just heard it there. Or let's do, I love this, when we do random trivia. So here we go, Woody. We're going to put you on the spot because Phil may know this. So Phil may know this. So Phil, I won't be drilling you at this. It'll be Woody. So people in the back, hit the music. There we go. Okay, here we go. Woody, Phil just mentioned it. Man, it's pretty hard for corners to win Defensive Player of the Year. I ask you this, and I'll give you the years. From 1971 moving forward, since they've been basically tracking that award, how many corners in NFL history have won Defensive Player of the Year? This is since 1971. How many corners have won Defensive Player of the Year in NFL history?
Yeah, I don't know how we got from me getting ready to ask a question to now I'm on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. But
I'll go with
Yeah, see.
I mean, I would love to, but apparently I don't have life.
Definitely not an option. Yep.
I'll go with 6.
Well, you just nailed it, Woody. You did not win $1 million, but you just won correct answer on that trivia. Yes, PS2 became the 6th corner to win Defensive Player of the Year in NFL history. Here are the players. Mel Blount, yeah, he's pretty good. Won it in 1975 with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Lester Hayes for the then Oakland Raiders in 1980. Deion Sanders, prime time, won it for the 49ers in 1994. Charles Woodson won it in 2009. And you had Stephon Gilmore in 2019. And then finally, PS2. That is an elite list. 6. So, Woody, congratulations. You won nothing, but there you go, buddy. Yeah.
Hey, well, I'm just like Sauce because I won nothing.
Dang.
Wow.
Man, getting shots from everywhere, man.
Yeah. Hey. But no, the question that I was gonna ask though, because we all play fantasy. We all living and dying by our fantasy team success. Right? We had somebody ask, should he start J.K. Dobbins and Evan Ingram this week? I will just chime in real quick. Please start J.K. Dobbins. He is going for 100 all-purpose yards. That is a damn near guarantee. If you seen Javonte last week, J.K. Dobbins, he's going to be looking like a samurai the way he cut through the New York Jets defense.
Yes.
Evan Ingram is a little bit harder to answer. So that's why I want to pass that over to you, Phil. I mean, Jake Ferguson, carved us up. What's his name on the Dolphins? Darren Waller had 2 touchdowns against the New York Jets. So that does seem to be an area of weakness. But like you were saying, he hasn't really kind of come to form. So Should we start Evan Ingram this week?
Waller showed up and he was like, "Let's go." Against the Jets, right? He's just shut up. He's back, baby. I will say this: I would not start Evan Ingram. He had the touchdown last week. He's been dealing with some back issues this year. To me, whenever I hear back issue, I'm like, that thing's lingering. That's a problem that could pop up at any moment. So that kind of scares me, and just also the lack of targets he's getting. Like for fantasy, I love targets because I'm like, that guy is big in their offense. He's going to get production. Evan Ingram just hasn't gotten the targets that I think a lot of people expected here. It depends on what we see from this Jets defense. Like if there's a lot of zone there, then you could see Ingram starting to get a few catches going. But I would not start him. There's too many other good tight ends around the league that I would go with. But J.K. Dobbins, he's like in a groove right now. So I think that he's rolling. They love to get him the ball in the red zone. One of the things that Sean loves to do is run the ball in the red zone. There's like some kind of crazy stat about if you get a first down in the red zone, your likelihood of scoring a touchdown goes up to like 90% or something like that. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's like insane. So I think that he loves to run the ball and get first downs, and the closer he gets to the end zone. So they love to give Dobbins the ball in the red zone. And so that to me, fantasy, let's go.
By the way, pour one out. All the fans seem to really enjoy that trivia. They were all trying to guess it themselves in the comment section. So salute.
Look, what is that? Like 55 years and 6 guys have won it? I mean,
it's unbelievable.
It's so hard to win it at that position. Like the guy who got snubbed was Champ Bailey.
Oh my God, that's what someone just said.
Yeah, Champ 2006.
People were asking. Yeah, they said, I can't believe Champ Bailey didn't win one of those, which is crazy. And and we think of the other year, but Charles Woodson ended up at the same position taking it. A lot of Jet fans will slam the table for 2009, that historic season for Revis.
Yeah.
But another corner in Woodson, who later transitioned to safety in his career, that ended up winning it too. So it would have been the same number. It just would have been a different guy. So people were guessing like 2 in the comment section, and the number 6, which still is not very high considering how long the award has been running. So impressive.
Yeah, it is so hard. Like Champ in 2006, I think he gave up like 3 catches. Like the dude was walking on water that year.
Wow.
Did not win it. So it's a tough to win that award. Part of it is you're going to have other guys in the league not have an insane year.
Right, like sacks or some of those sexy numbers.
Exactly,
correct.
Exactly. Right. Because if you're a shutdown corner, you're not getting a ton of interceptions. It's hard to get that ball production when you're just not seeing the targets. So when you look at the stats at the end of the year, you're like, oh, this guy was like, all right. Look at how many sacks this guy got. Let's go with him. So it's hard to win that award, and that's why PS2 winning it last year was a big deal. Just the second Broncos player ever to win Defensive Player of the Year. So, big deal.
That's pretty historic. All right, Phil, before we get out of here, I want you to talk about Broncos and bourbon. Now, I understand why Jets and bourbon would go together based on my history as a fan. But the Broncos have had a lot more success with all those championships stacking up behind you. So Broncos and bourbon, give it to us. You work for the Denver Broncos for a very long time, and now you get to do your own thing, which is awesome. I see it. The facial hairs growing out.
Yeah, I get to mix it up, man. I could be me now. No, I was going to say, hopefully this poster here doesn't bring back too many bad memories, because if you look here, they got the schedule here. January 15th, New York Jets AFC Championship, 23-10 Broncos got the victory.
We were up 10-0 in that one.
Yeah, windy day in Denver. Yeah, that kickoff, Jason Elam kicked the ball off, fumble there on the special teams. That changed the whole game. The older Jets fans watching this, they'll remember that day. That was a big moment for me, man. So anyway, so Broncos and Bourbon, that's my show. Check it out on YouTube. We had former Broncos quarterback Jake Plummer was the guest.
Love Jake.
Week.
Awesome.
Jake Plummer is my guy. So I get my friends in the media. I get former Broncos players. They come on, and we just try to be entertaining and informative. So that's the name of the game, right? Bring some knowledge, learn something, but do it in an entertaining way. That's what we like to do. That's what you guys do. That's sort of the name of the game. And then at the end of every episode, I like to sample some bourbon because, guys, I like to get different bourbons. When I'm at the liquor store, though, I'm like, I want to try something new, but I don't know what I want to try. So then I try to take some recommendations from our viewers.
Ooh.
Hey, are you interested in a bottle? I'll go out and get it and taste it. And then that way, the next time you're in that position wondering, okay, what bottle am I going to check out? Oh, yeah, Phil said this was pretty good. Let me give it a try. So that's at least the idea. And the other part of it is there's like a million Broncos shows. There's a million, shows. How do I mix this up? How do I put my own personality on it? I like drinking bourbon, so I was like, let me just mix that in here and have that be sort of a fun, different hook.
Hey,
so
alliteration doesn't hurt either, Phil. So you know what? Beautiful.
Man,
beautiful.
Marketing guru here, the boy Green, So yes, I appreciate you guys having me on here, and thanks for letting me talk about my show because it is a lot of fun. It's fun to just sort of be able to do exactly what I want, and that's what I feel like the state of media in general is in such a weird place here because everybody I talk to, I'm like, how do you guys get your information? How are you finding out what knowledge you want about these guys? YouTube and podcasts, man. That's how everybody's getting their information. And so I was like, hey, let me just tap into that stream. And that's what I've been having a lot of fun.
To be honest, Phil, I think we all need that right now with everything that's going on to have these shows where you can just put everything aside and just say green team, blue team, green team, orange team. Here's some fun stuff and to laugh and forget about everything that's whether going on in your professional or personal life. I hope that's the small slice we can bring to the content creator universe, which is a lot of fun, Phil. And you definitely do that. I've seen the show before. It's a lot of fun. So as always, I love doing that. 6 year in a row, baby. Cheers.
Yes, we'll do it again next year. And also, before I go, shout out to my guy Darren Muji, getting things rolling there with the Jets. I don't know what the vibe is like in New York. 0-5 is probably not how anybody wanted to start. But with him and AG, man, I'm telling you, this Jets thing's going to turn around, guys. Have the confidence and just, pump the brakes a little bit before you throw them out of town. Those guys, they know what they're doing. So I got confidence, man. I got confidence.
I mean, I got nothing back.
Takes a little time.
Yes.
Man, there was a great story on ESPN this week about the GM tree from John Elway. Okay. And you're looking around the league here. There's so many GMs, Raiders GM, John Spytek, Adam Peters with Washington, John Lynch is like sort of part of that tree a little bit, So like there's a lot of guys in the league that come from that mold that are having a lot of success. And so I got confidence in Muji and, I know some people around the Lions organization, they couldn't speak higher enough about Aaron Glenn. So, man, I think that you just got to just give him a little bit of time. Give him some time, and we'll get this thing rolling.
That's it, baby. Woo! I'm fired up. He's the right guy. I told you, Wudi. I told you. Here we go.
You heard it from here. For 5 years from now, you're going to be like, man, Phil was right.
Yeah, there we go.
I hope, we're going to be cheering some bourbon to that.
Yeah. Amen.
We'll be drinking bourbon for a different reason. Yeah.
That's probably true. So, Phil, thank you so much. Wudi, a lot of fun, man. And thank you, everyone out there in the universe. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe if you guys are watching on YouTube. And shout out to our folks over on Instagram and Twitter as well. Great times, and we'll do this again soon. We'll see you guys then. Take care, everybody.